Come, gather round, my dear friends, and listen closely to a tale that will chill your bones and haunt your dreams. A story of a girl in a tattered red dress, with hair as black as midnight and eyes that glow like embers in the dark. This is not a tale for the faint of heart, but for those who dare to peer into the shadows, where reality blurs with nightmares and all the things that go bump in the night. In the misty hollows and forgotten corners of our world, there are whispers of a castle that appears only when the veil between worlds grows thin. Its spires reach towards the sky like gnarled fingers, its walls as black as pitch, save for the sickly yellow glow that seeps from its windows. This castle, they say, is not bound by the laws of our reality. It appears and vanishes at will, leaving behind nothing but the lingering scent of decay and the echoes of forgotten screams. But it is not the castle itself that strikes fear into the hearts of those who speak its name in hushed tones. No, it is the girl who calls it home. She stands no taller than a child, her frame slight and almost fragile, wrapped in a dress that might once have been the color of fresh blood, but now hangs in tatters, stained and torn by time and unspeakable deeds. Her hair, if that's what you want to call it, it falls like a curtain of night around her pale face, stringy and unkempt, moving as if alive, even when no breeze stirs the air. But it is her eyes that truly betray her otherworldly nature. Red as rubies, they glow with an inner fire that seems to peer directly into your soul, stripping away all pretense and laying bare your deepest fears. And the ravens, those harbingers of doom, they flock to her as moths to a flame. They perch upon her shoulders, nest in her wild hair, and take flight at her slightest gesture. Some say she speaks to them in a language of caws and cackles, sending them out into the world to be her eyes and ears, to seek out the lost and the vulnerable. On nights when the moon hangs bloated and yellow in the sky, those unfortunate enough to wander too far from the safety of their homes might catch a glimpse of her. She stands at the edge of the forest, or atop a hill overlooking a sleeping town, her silhouette a jagged tear in the fabric of reality. The ravens swirl around her in a dark cloud, their wings beating a rhythm that sounds suspiciously like a funeral song. There are those who claim to have seen her up close, though few live to tell the tale. They speak of a smile that is at once beautiful and terrifying, of teeth that seem just a bit too sharp, of hands that move with an unnatural grace, and always, they mention the cold, a bone-deep chill that seeps into your very being, as if her mere presence drains the warmth from the world around her. But what does she want, this girl of shadows and feathers? Some say she collects souls, luring the unwary into her castle with promises of warmth and shelter on cold, dark nights. Others insist she's a guardian of sorts, protecting our world from horrors that lurk just beyond the veil of reality. And still others whisper that she is vengeance incarnate, punishing those who have committed unspeakable acts. The truth, as is often the case with such stories, remains elusive. But there are stories. Oh yes, there are stories. Stories of travelers who stumbled upon her castle on nights when the fog rolled thick across the land. They speak of halls that stretch on forever, of rooms filled with impossible geometries, of mirrors that reflect worlds that should not exist. And at the heart of it all, they say, is a chamber where the girl sits upon a throne of bones and feathers. The walls pulse with an unholy light, and the air itself seems to writhe with unseen presences. It is here, in this unhallowed sanctum, that she holds court with beings from beyond the stars, creatures whose very names would drive a mortal mad. But beware, dear listeners, for to seek out this castle and its mistress is to court disaster. For the castle appears not by chance, but by design. It manifests for those who are meant to find it, those whose fates are intertwined with the girl in the red dress. And once you've crossed its threshold, there's no guarantee you'll ever find your way back to the world you knew. There are nights, they say, when the wind carries the sound of her laughter across the land. It's a sound that makes children weep in their sleep and old men clutch at their hearts. For in that laughter is the promise of eternity, an eternity of darkness and wonder, of terror and beauty beyond imagining. And what of the ravens, you ask, those clever birds? They are her eyes and ears, yes, but they are also her harbingers, her emissaries. When the ravens gather in unusual numbers, when their cries seem to carry words just beyond understanding, that's when you know the castle is near, and with it, the girl in the tattered red dress. Some have tried to capture her, to bind her with spells and incantations. Fools, all of them, for she is not bound by the laws of our world, nor can she be contained by any mortal means. She is as ancient as the stars and as young as the dawn, a paradox wrapped in enigma, cloaked in shadow and feathers. There are those who worship her in secret covens and forgotten groves. They leave offerings of shiny trinkets and fresh blood, hoping to curry favor with the girl and her ravens. But be warned, for her favor is a double-edged sword, as likely to bring ruin as it is to grant your heart's desire. As for the castle itself, it defies all logic and reason. Those who have walked its halls speak of rooms that shouldn't exist, of staircases that lead to nowhere and everywhere at once, windows that look out onto alien landscapes, doors that open onto the void between worlds, and always, always, the feeling of being watched, of unseen eyes following your every move. But perhaps the most chilling aspect of this tale is the way the castle seems to call to certain individuals. They feel its pull in their dreams, see glimpses of its dark spires in the corner of their eye, and no matter how they try to resist, they find themselves drawn inexorably towards it, like moths to a flame. And so, dear friends, as you lay your heads down to sleep tonight, listen carefully to the wind. If you hear the beating of wings, if you catch a glimpse of red eyes in the darkness, know that she is near. The girl in the tattered red dress, with her ravens and her castle of shadows. She's watching, waiting, for the moment when you'll stumble into her realm. For in the end, that's the true horror of this tale. Not the girl herself, not the castle with its impossible geometry, but the knowledge that somewhere out there, in the spaces between what we know and what we fear, she waits. And one day, when you least expect it, you might find yourself standing before those great black doors, with the ravens circling overhead and her laughter echoing in your ears. And then, dear listener, then you'll truly understand the meaning of terror. For once you've entered her world, there's no telling if you'll ever find your way back. So heed this warning well, and pray that the girl in the tattered red dress never sets her sights on you. For in her realm, nightmares become reality, and reality itself is the greatest nightmare of all. Sleep well, if you can, and remember, when the ravens gather and the shadows grow long, beware the girl in the tattered red dress, for she is watching, always watching, from her castle of darkness and dreams.